Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Miss Lauren Cash is here with us today, and she is a 2-4 splenic projector who has just like abso-freaking-lutely blown me away with her commitment to living her life and operating her business by her design. She helps clients basically do a million different things, but effectively harness their energetic resources and guides them into creating aligned lives and businesses. She's a master time coach, certified in human design, and honestly has so many talents that it's hard to keep track of. We've got systems, we've got automations, we've got team, we've got resume writing, we've got delegation, we've got scheduling, like past nutrition, certified
eating disorder dietitian.
Just what? All of the things, blending all of the different modalities. So thank you for joining us on this Projector Success series.
Thanks for having me.
Wearing your Projector t-shirt, which is so perfect and not planned.
No.
I love it. Okay, so I want to start, I think that kind of like last piece kind of leads us beautifully into, as projectors, we're here to master systems. And sometimes people get kind of like wonky about, well, like, I don't have a system, but it doesn't necessarily have to be one. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, what kind of system or systems are you mastering?
Yeah, that's something that like really gets me, or used to, not as much now, but I would get so hung up on like, what is my one system? Because I'm so good at so many different things. Mm-hmm. But what it boils down to, I've been seeing are two main things that are really interconnected as well. And you had told me this, like human behavior is one huge one for me. And that ties into my background in psychology, the background in eating disorder treatment, human design, and then like the coaching modalities and everything. And then I really like working with human behavior, especially around energy and resources, kind of what you said. Like, I really like the way you said that, because yes, people know me as a time coach, but I don't like to just talk about the time. It's also our energetics, the energetics of the business, and like money and time and our energy, and like how all those play together, and they're all just energy. So human behavior and energy together, those are the systems I'm mastering.
I love it so much. And it's so fun too, because like your incarnation cross or your soul's job description is that of the Sphinx or Sphinx. Wow, Sphinx. Well, that's not a word. Sphinx, or like direction, right? So it's like oftentimes people are coming to you being like, I'm lost. Where do I go? And you're like,
yes,
alignment, like let me direct you into the places. And here are all the tools and systems and modalities that I use in order to help people do that.
Yes. And I listen, like, because it's all about listening. Like, I listen to what they're saying and where they're stuck. And usually, they don't feel like they have direction for those things I just talked to you about. And then I help guide them in a new way of seeing things.
So juicy. I love it so much. We're talking about listening because Elsie has the 1333 channel. But one thing that I just like love so much about you, and like you're a member of Projector Playground, is you hear things that people aren't actually saying. Like, and I know that you do this with your clients as well, but being able to like be a witness of this, of like someone says something, you're like, I hear you, but there's an energy underneath what you just said.
Yeah. Or like even a session yesterday, like literal words that people say, but they don't realize like the significance of the diction that they've used and what that means behind it. So that's really fun too.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, so as a splenic being, I want to really like dive into what your authority feels like in your body, because I know for a lot of splenic people, they're like, okay, it's once in the moment, I never feel it again. Was this my spleen? Is it fear? Is it my mind? Am I talking myself into something or talking myself out of something? So like, I would love just from like lived experience, like what does your splenic, instinctive knowing authority feel like for you?
Yeah, so I do really relate to the like still small voice, quiet whisper descriptions. I wouldn't say that it's like a once and then done necessarily for me, because I do notice that it does come through in different ways if I didn't act on whatever it was previously. Or it turns out as the like Taylor Swift lyrics you like to say of like, you knew like when they walked in that they were troubled. Like you find out later that that whisper was the whisper in other ways, even if you didn't get the like that whisper again. So it's like confirmed in other ways. Something that's really helpful for me is like getting away from other people, because a lot of times then the mind chatter, like taking in and trying to like prove myself with my open heart, like to other people, comes up a lot when I'm trying to make decisions around them. And then doing breath work has helped a lot, like tuning into it. Not that I even necessarily have to do like a breath work session every time I have a decision now, but doing that practice really helped me tune into what my splenic voice sounds like. So it's always very like calm and chill, but it also is like almost like this like giddy, like playful vibe to it, a little inner child-ish. And so yeah, so it's like that fear is usually a lot of like my undefined head and ajna, like not self talk. And the more that I learned about those centers and what the not self talk there sounds like, the more I was able then to reckon, or just like, yeah, the centers that I have the most conditioning in, like learning what those sound like, then help me label those as that and know that it's not my spleen. So I think that's really helped a lot. And just the vibe of it is different. It's like more fearful, it's more questioning, like my inner voice or spleen never questions things. Like if it's questioning, that's just not the spleen at all, and not my authority.
Yeah. Oh, that's so helpful. And do you have a process? I mean, you kind of just explained a little bit, but if you want to elaborate on this at all, of like getting from the mind back into the body when you do notice that chatter happening?
I think it's mostly for me breathing and grounding, like, and getting outside, also getting in nature is really helpful. Breathing, not listening to as many things. I think that's the other thing is taking care of my like my undefined head center too, by not putting as many other people's ideas into it to be amplified, and then thinking that those are the correct ones and they know better than me and stuff like that is really huge for me. But yeah, breathing, being in nature, laying in the grass, laying on the ground, closing my eyes, exhaling a lot. Those are the main things.
Love it. Love it. So I would love to know like what you've been able to kind of let go of when moving from like operating from not really even knowing the design to living in alignment, following your spleen. Like what have you been able to let go of during that process?
The thinking that there's one way of doing business is a huge one. Like thinking that it has to be this way, these are the rules. I think, yeah, letting go a lot of my like rule followerness has
Good girl
happened.
vibes.
Yeah, good girl vibes, following the rules, just doing what everybody else is doing because that's what you're supposed to do or what works. Questioning a lot more, like why are people doing things certain ways, not just adopting goals that everybody else has, not having the expectation of 40-hour work weeks, a huge one. I'm still like playing with what I want like my schedule to be and how many hours like I want to work and how I want that to ebb and flow. But definitely there's like so much freedom with that now. I'm not thinking like I should be able to work 40 hours anymore. I know for sure I never want to have as many client sessions and classes I teach a week as I did like when we first started working together. That I feel like I've let go of that expectation of myself. Even expectations of like I should have like Facebook ads or something like that, not ever having had Facebook ads. And maybe I'll play with them in the future if I'm led there, but some of that has been let go of, thinking things that need to be hard.
Yes.
And that there needs to be a struggle.
Oh yeah.
And then I feel like the recent shift too that we've talked about is letting go of thinking life and business need to be separate.
Mm.
And I've been talking a lot about that with clients the last like week or so too. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of talking about that in my future. I'm starting to get really passionate about it.
Woo! 2-line passion, baby. It all gets to be one.
Yeah. And then what else have I let go of?
Well, I think it could be interesting for people who don't really know your background and story of like dietitian, master time coach, like multiple 6 figures, like you've gone through this whole journey. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Like, yeah, what part?
What part? Because when we were talking about like the hours and expectations of the, like working the 40 hours, when you went into business for yourself, you assumed that old rule from when you were working before, right?
No, and the community I was a part of, that was also what they said that you needed to do if you were serious about your business. If you were serious about your business and you really wanted to make 100K in a year, then you would do 40 hours of work every week, just like somebody going to like a day job. So that was like very heavily conditioned. So yeah, letting go of that. Absolutely. And consistency. That was like another really huge one that you and I talked about on my podcast like a year ago now. So that I don't need to be consistent in the way that generators define consistency, and that my energy is much more cyclical, both like monthly, and it's heavily related to my period too, or also just like seasonally, and that we don't need to think about like every week being the same every single week. There are these ebbs and flows. So letting go of like consistent every single day, I do 10 minutes of this and then 20 minutes of this to like do my business.
Because that's what serious business owners do.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I've let go of some of the seriousness of business too, for sure. Like it's way more playful now.
Projector goals.
Yes.
We take ourselves, if you're watching this and you're like, what are you talking about? Projectors, we take ourselves so freaking seriously. Like, let's incorporate some play.
Yeah.
Be fun and easy and playful, especially for 2 lines. My goodness.
Yes.
Ease. Okay, I know that a lot of times it's really hard for people to grasp what waiting for an invitation freaking means, or what it even looks like. So I would love if you would share some examples of some fun, it doesn't even have to be fun, but like some invitations that you've received that you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like that just happened.
Well, I mean, the biggest invitation I've ever received, it's still like paying off, and I never could have like imagined it for myself. And that was when I was working for the life coach school. I was just being me, super good at the system that I was good at, getting stuff done and like hitting deadlines and managing time and running like systems super well in the departments I was in charge of. And that got recognized by the founder of the school. And she invited me to co-create a course with her that she still markets to this day. And that's how a lot of people find out about me. So I think that's the best example of like recognition and invitation ever, because she literally was like, you're very good at this. Like, we need to teach this to other people. Will you do this with me? And then that has had this compounding effect on my business that I never could have orchestrated myself. And I was just like studying like Cal Newport and deep work and like things about digital minimalism, things I was super excited and passionate about, applying it to my own work, and it got noticed, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a huge one.
So good. And my favorite thing about that, obviously, that you're recognized and invited, but it's like this work that you did one time long ago, and like it's still paying off.
Yes. Which, I mean, that's the same thing with like what I've been noticing, even with like my podcast, is like my podcast, I haven't recorded a new episode in over 6 months now. People are still listening to it, downloading it, and opting in to like ways that they could like get PDFs and then be on my email list. Like that's still going and working, even though it's done, which is the best. I love leveraging energy that way.
Me too. It's the best. Because oftentimes, like, right, the marketing world is meant for generators of like generating content and like being on things that are engagement based, meaning like you show your face, you get engagement. Next day you show your face, you get engagement. And it's like, what could it look like to actually create assets that live on versus having to like, get on that wheel. So I love that you have such clear examples. And then if you want to play in the other areas of engagement, great.
And it's fun and it's less pressure. Another more recent invitation, and this is really like shifting the way that I've been running my business over the time we've been working together. Like in the past, I really mentally was trying to plan out my business plan. I was trying like from the mind, create like, what are the programs? What are the price points? How do those divide into like my annual goal of revenue, and like really like logicking and like strategically like planning all of that out. And so this year I've been working on letting more and more of that go. And so I had just done this program, this pop-up coaching program, and that had come from recognition and invitation by one of my clients. And I oversold that out, which was so cool. And then now I had a sense that there will be like a continuation, something from this, but I didn't plan it. I didn't like figure out like how I was going to sell it to them ahead of time or anything. I waited for them to ask me for how can we continue working together? This work is like really powerful. I got so much from this. I want to keep working with you on this work. And then I was ready to just put together the thing. And then I've like sold 6 spots to like continue working with people so far. And I feel like I've done like nothing for that, you know? So that's very exciting. And that's also like how my another like new program, like the one that I feel like is more of like the main one that's going to happen, is happening too. Like it's from conversations with my people in my community, very like fourth line vibes. That's going deep in like the DMs and asking them questions, from them like asking me for help with certain things, and us like co-creating. I feel like that's really what I do now, is like this co-creating of a program with my people, and it's so much less work that way.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And probably way more fun.
Way more fun, because then I'm not like trying to like, okay, here's what I want to offer and here's the pricing that I want it to be. Now I'm going to try to sell you on it. It's like, no, I already have these people that have asked me for this. I've talked to them about all of the aspects of what they want. And so I already know these people, it's for these people like that I already know specifically, and they're going to sign up. And then of course, other people will want to too, because they do.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And it's amazing. And we know the value. And
yeah.
Oh, so good. I love it. So I guess like within that same vein, what would you say to a projector who is out there mind creating all these offers and like pushing them out into the world and like not waiting for the invitation, or like saying they're waiting, but like really they're in the process of mentally masturbating all their offers, but not really waiting? Like, what would you say or share with them?
Well, I would say one, that do you really want to be wasting your energy in that way? Like, we have limited energy, and you're just going to be throwing stuff out there that probably won't even like take. And so it's a bit pointless. So why not conserve your energy for something that you know is going to be worth putting your energy into, because it's going to continue on.
Yeah.
Even though that's really hard to hear when you're in this spot. Yeah. And then like, would you be willing to risk like conserving your energy, playing and like just really enjoying your life, to know that like trust that what is meant for you is going to come through when it's meant to come through, but it might not be when mentally you think it's supposed to.
Yeah. It usually never is.
Yeah.
Which is the hardest part, right?
It is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which you're
it
so
is.
brilliant at. Okay. I would love to know what you are most proud of right now.
Hmm.
Like, let me see myself real quick. Hold on.
I feel like it's what I already shared, like finally letting go of my mentally needing to find the thing or the business model on my own, and letting it come through those who are recognizing and inviting me, and letting it be more a playful experiment. As you know, I like, even though I'm not a third line profile, I just like love that line so much because it helps my perfectionism a lot, playing with that energy. So shifting into that, knowing I don't have to come up with the thing, and that the thing will be revealed to me in the correct timing.
So good.
So proud of like trusting that and like letting go and leaning into that.
Yeah.
Even if like my revenue numbers to the mind, like for the beginning of this year, don't look like what it thinks it should look like.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started letting go and not having that expectation, then I started making a whole lot more money.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, so proud of you for that as well.
Thank you.
What do you see differently than most people in your industry?
That's such a hard question. Like, so many things.
So there are a lot of like time coaches now that have,
okay.
And I'm wondering the difference between the way you see time and the way you see time talked about.
Well, I don't watch what other people talk about it.
You're like, I don't know. I haven't eliminated that.
About them. I don't listen to them. Well, I mean, I think in like personal development time, like industry, it's a whole lot of like strategies for like how to like use the Pomodoro method, or like this correct planner, or the correct way to do it on like even time blocking. Or people think the way that I taught time blocking in Monday Hour One is the way that I teach it and use it with my clients, and it's not. It's, I guess, maybe people think it's very rigid and prescriptive and there's one way of doing it and that's the right way, and I don't believe that. So I really take the like utilizing, if someone's open to it, utilizing their human design and incorporating that with the way that we play with viewing their calendar and viewing time, and not seeing it as linearly as the industry might talk about it.
Right.
And like even talking to a client yesterday, she was trying to like figure out like, what am I going to do with my 10 hours a week for my business? And we were also playing with like, it's not looking at it like weekly, it's looking at it like stepping back a little bit more and having the energy ebb and flow into different areas of the business more over like maybe a quarter period of time and stuff like that. So I think it's using the abstract a lot, and understanding that time is not linear and time is just totally made up, but then also using like the tangible tools that the mind understands so that it can like wrap its head around things and actually get things done at the same time. So it's like holding both of those. And I think I see a lot of people that don't hold both. They either go completely like without any like application and are very abstract and don't help the mind out, or it's like way too mindy and too rigid.
Yeah. Ooh. And I love like from the self-help kind of like world of, it's like a lot of how can you shove as much stuff possible into the time you have? And I don't do that at all. Like the way that I talk about time is so different.
So because I believe in, instead of like just like efficiency to get as much output as possible. That's not the point. Really looking at like what the point of everything is, and then being effective in the way that we create that. And usually a lot of that work is letting go of a lot of things you're thinking you need to be doing, or projects that you like mentally have on your plate for this season that aren't even meant to be there because we haven't even asked your authority yet.
Amen, sister. I love it. Okay, final question before we share where people can find you and how they can work with you in this season, because we know it's always shifting and changing.
It always is. My manifesting generator business.
Yes, exactly. It's like, ooh, what about this? What about this? So fun. If you had one piece of advice for someone who just found out, like they just right before this viewing found out that they were a projector.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for them.
I know, me too. Like, oh, you just had your soul understood? Congratulations. What would you suggest or say, or what advice would you give someone who just found out they were a projector?
Finding other projectors to watch and listen to and learn from and connect with, so that you don't think that there's something wrong with you, and you also can see in them better than what you can see in yourself.
Amen. I agree. That's a good one. Good one. I feel like one piece of advice. I don't know. That was a really great answer.
Oh, yay.
Love it. Okay, so people have watched this, are like, wait, I need some Elsie. I call Lauren Elsie just for clarification. So where can they find Miss Lauren Cash, the Lauren Cash, to work with you in all of this juicy deliciousness?
Well, if you like to hang out on Instagram, I'm at the Lauren Cash there. And then my URL is the same, thelaurencash.com. You can come check out all the things on the site.
All the things. So fun. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to transition now into, as a member of Projector Playground, which is a community of other projectors.
Didn't do that on purpose. I swear my answer was genuine.
It was a splenic answer. It wasn't a mind answer, right? Oh my gosh, I love it. I would love to know, what was your life like before enrolling in Projector Playground? What was your business like? Tell me about the person you were before and what your relationship was with like operating your business and success and all of that juicy.
And I like, if we're talking like before Projector Playground, like for me, I think about before you and I started working together. So can I just talk about that?
Go there. Go way back. If you can remember that far back.
I don't know if I can remember, but I'll try, because I can't really break it apart. There's just like, yeah, before knowing I was a projector and working with Lauren, and like now. So okay, so before Projector Playground and knowing that I was a projector, I was working a whole lot of hours, and I was working really, really hard and taking on way too much, thinking business had to be a lot harder than it needed to be. I was also teaching like 6 classes for somebody else and coaching like, I think like 20 hours a week or so. So I was like on for like 30 plus, like had all these expectations for myself for like marketing and launching my podcast and doing there was just like a lot happening, and not enough sleep, not any space for naps, no space for if somebody ever wanted to recognize and invite me to anything, I would have just been like, no way. And also energetically like repelling any of that.
Stay away.
I was extremely stressed out. And then I also, at the same time I found out I was a projector, I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. And I think that's definitely related like to the stress. And also I, a couple years prior to that, had been probably over exercising and under fueling. So there's like a combination of all like the perfect storm. And then, oh, and I also like, aside would be somebody that would like use my energy to email people like unsolicited advice about like how they're running their businesses and systems and programs and things. And I've definitely shifted that a whole lot. Now I just ask what I need to ask and I don't give any feedback. Which has also helped me be way more gracious in my own business to myself and like letting things be more imperfect as well. Even though my client, like some of my clients that probably don't know their projectors will email me all of their thoughts about it. It doesn't kill me like it used to because I can see myself in that. And then I didn't know like things about myself that I could leverage to have just be easier. So I was like doing everything like the hard way in a way. Like I didn't know that I was 2-4. I didn't know, decision making would be like very difficult because I was like trying mentally and using what other people thought, going to other people for their advice and what they thought. And then I was trying to sort through it was just too much. And then my business model, was just a lot as well. Yeah. And I was trying to build a business really, really quickly and had built a business really, really quickly and was thinking it needed to like be like in a rush. Basically, I was like in a hurry to like make it to some like revenue number, but had no thought about like what I wanted my lifestyle to be like and what would be sustainable for my energy.
Yeah. Ugh. So before, what did you kind of view as like success or the thing that you were like trying to achieve?
A certain amount of revenue.
Yeah.
Because that's what the industry I'm in like views as success, I think. Yeah. So $1 million plus business. Yeah.
Which you still can have.
Yeah, which if and when that occurs, amazing. But I'm going about it way differently now.
Yeah. I would love for you to like paint a picture. So like that was before, and it was like, oh God, adrenal fatigue, stress, exhaustion, working, like overworking, kind of taking on all of the things, building, rushing, trying to get to this number. I would love to
no rest.
Yeah, no rest. Oh God. Honestly, when you were talking, my body was going.
I know, mine too.
I feel like I need to go.
I wasn't eating lunch either. Do we remember this?
Yes. Your calls would like run through.
Yeah. I was just like,
Oftentimes you would spend like our calls, you're like, I just need to eat something.
I just need to eat something.
Like, okay. Wow. Elsie, if you want to use our call time to just take a nap, like it's more than welcome. That might be better for you than anything we're going to talk about. Amazing. So what was it like for you, like during that transition, if you can remember back to like when you're like, okay, I'm a projector. Okay, I'm not going to do this way anymore. Like what kind of shift?
I freaked out.
Yeah.
At first, I was like really having a hard time. And then there was also perfectionism around like, I'm being a bad projector.
Yeah.
And how am I going to change this? There's no way to change this. I'm not going to have enough money if I don't work as much as everybody else works. How do you even market when you're a projector and you're supposed to wait for the invitation? Like, can I even have an Instagram account? Can I even send email? There's just like a whole like identity like crisis. Like, then how do you do anything?
Yeah. And we're like giggling about it now, but like when you're in it, it's not a laughing matter.
No. I was like dying and crying a whole lot and thought it was the end of the world for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that part of it, which is like basically everything you believed about the world
is no longer
isn't true, doesn't apply to you. And you're like, oh, F. And
I'm supposed to be successful. How is this supposed to work?
That's my signature.
And at the same time, though, there was like this deep soul, like body relief of being seen for how I had been feeling the last few years. Like I remembered telling my ex-boyfriend, like, I just want a sabbatical. Because I had just been running at like such a pace for so long that wasn't meant for me anyway. Oh, and I had been obsessed with retiring early because I
Just
thought
get to
if
the
I could
goal.
just hurry up and like have enough money, I could just never work again. And so it was very like this all or nothing, back to the perfectionism, which is top of mind because that's the program I'm running right now, but
Yeah.
like all or nothing thinking happening there. And not knowing when enough was enough, and my undefined emotional solar plex, all that good stuff in there.
She's keynoting here, friends. She's talking about all of her centers. Oh my gosh, I love it. So yeah, I mean, it's almost like that energy of the dark night of the soul, right? Where you like have to go
it
through
was
burning of everything down and like
yes.
not knowing who you are and like having everything fall apart. And so
Yeah.
like from that place, what shifted for you?
So then I felt like finally, like it had to be like, I like talking about like layering in like changes, like step by step or like little tiny steps. So like, I think in the beginning, it was just like, can I like take a break for lunch and not be working on my laptop while I'm eating? Can I slow down enough? Can I taper my caffeine intake, which has helped me a ton? And I'm drinking decaf right now, but even decaf has some caffeine in it. But it was like that. And then can I prioritize sleep? Can I let like whoever I'm dating at the time know, like I need to go to bed at I need to get a certain amount of sleep. This is really important to me. On weekends, can I start to not work on weekends as much as possible or contain it as much as possible and have enough like play and rest on the weekends? Can I not do 6 back-to-back classes on a Thursday?
Your Thursdays. I like RIP
Just
Thursdays.
forever. It's a Thursday today too. That's so fun.
Look at that. Look how much has changed.
I know, it's so fun. And then, so yeah, it was like the layering of things, working through the feel like how uncomfortable it was when I wasn't being productive in my off time. Cause like in the past too, like even when I was off work, I would have to be taking a new class. I would have to be like learning something or like doing some sort of non-intense work activity or being productive, like meal prepping, or like there just always was like production happening in my life, or exercising or hitting some other goal. So that shifted a lot. And then at first last year, I thought the shift needed to be that I needed like a whole lot of support and people to help me in order to sustain things. But really what I discovered was like, it's not the people. I just needed to completely rethink how I thought about business and about myself and build it from the ground up. And then I could bring back in more support after I kind of shattered the way that I thought I had to run my business first.
Yeah. So good. I would love if you could share, like, while being in Projector Playground in the mastermind environment, because we're not really using our minds for people, what that experience is like for you being with other projectors, because you've been through a couple rounds at this point, so it's shifted quite a bit, but I'd love to hear.
Yeah, it's just so helpful for me to be with other people, attempting to be what I'm attempting to be, that want to experiment with this new way of embodying business in their lives, not feeling like I'm alone. Also, then kind of what I've said before of like seeing in other people the way that they're thinking about things or the way that they're trying to solve for things in a way that I actually am doing the same thing, but I can't see it in myself as well, but can see it in them. And then just being able to like have like, I don't know, the fun and playfulness around like what it's like being a projector in a world of non-projectors is just, you can't like recreate that. And then having you there to like lead and guide through it and normalize everything, and like almost like on demand, like be able to get coaching on things as they come up. That was like really huge for me, especially in the beginning, because I would be like, oh my gosh, like what do I even do with this? And then knowing that you're there to support it, and everybody else too, and maybe some of them have already gone through it, or they're going through it for the first time now. Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. And having you in the group was so powerful because you're able to see so clearly when people would bring something to the table. And you're like, oh, you don't need to do that. Why don't you need to do that? Because it's so fun. We're all leaders and guides in this group. We all see so clearly and objectively like into the other person. Our own stuff, forget about it.
Yeah. Cannot see as much.
Cannot see it. But the other people is like, oh, this is so obvious.
Obviously.
Like, what about this? Do you really need to do that? It's like, it's so fun. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that recognition. And it was so wonderful to have you in there. I'm wondering, like, while on the other side now, and I don't fully ever believe that you're on the other side of experimenting or like being the perfect projector, no such thing. You're constantly in your experiment, but after experimenting with your design for a couple years at this point and actually going to get certified in human design, so like expert knowledge over there, where are you now? What does your days look like now? What's changed about your relationship to success and operating your business?
Yeah, so I definitely am decoupled or decoupling.
Consciously uncoupling.
Revenue from success, and definitely learning more about even my money, like where I want it to go, and not having like the main thing be just like the overall revenue number, but how much of that am I putting towards what I splenically feel like I'm meant to put it towards, but also like, am I converting that into wealth and money that can work for me, and rather than me always needing to work for money? I think that's a huge thing, because it was just always such this focus on just like the overall revenue. But last year, for example, like I had like a 50K loss, but I could still say like I had, 440 something K of revenue, but I still had this loss, which I don't want that either, even though the like 440K sounds great. So I think like deepening my understanding of like all the different aspects of things that I want to play with. And for me, success is more of a global thing now. It's not just my business, it's my whole life, including my business, and a feeling that can happen on a day where I make no money and do no work, or on a day where I do lots of work and make lots of money. It's not associated with how much money I make or how much work I do or what I get done anymore.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so powerful. I'd love to know what success feels like to you in your body.
There's kind of two sides to it. I feel like there's one that's kind of like celebration, more like exciting, tingly, faster vibes. But then there's also like this just like settled in, grounded, nothing needs to happen, all is well kind of vibe. So it kind of goes back and forth between the two of those.
I love it. I love it. It doesn't have to mean one thing. There are no rules.
Yeah.
Reinforcing it over and over and over again. I love it. What would you say was your favorite part of the program?
What's funny about it for me is like, Lauren like adds like things into it and teaches us awesome things or brings in guests or whatever sometimes. But like, I just like the days when we just get on and like all coach on whatever's coming up for us. And same thing in like the between session support, like just having a space, like I described earlier, to talk about whatever is coming up in the now.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
So funny. Okay, Elsie, this is amazing, because I caught myself doing not knowing when enough is enough in this program, being like, I gotta add more stuff. And everyone's like,
stop it.
Everyone's like, can you not use our time to do that other thing? Can we just like talk like we used to do? Because that's the most valuable thing.
Like, go away with all of your adding things. Just be
Meanwhile, I'm over here being like,
coach us.
Oh, yeah. I'm enough as I am. I don't need to add on extras. Like we're all a work in progress, people. Like
I'm wondering like how much I've been doing that in my programs too, because I was
you
talking
saw
to,
it so clearly with me doing it. You're like,
yeah, I'm like,
I just
we
like
don't care. We just want to talk and have you coach.
and coach
I
each
mean,
other.
my profit potentials are cool. Like I did like that. But.
Yeah, profit potentials are really fun.
But
Everyone wants to
otherwise,
know before they like start their experiment. It's so funny. It's like literally everyone's like, how do I make money using human design? I'm like,
yes,
there is that. And like, there's this whole other thing.
yeah,
It's way better over here and also results in money. So like, let's just vibrate higher
yes,
and not have burnt out nervous systems and adrenal fatigue and
yeah.
cortisol
Let's
and
not do that.
all of
Oh
that.
yeah, the cortisol, that was crazy.
Wild. Wild. And you're an energy projector and like most
I
likely
know.
to get adrenal fatigue.
What?
You're like, I think I can keep up. I'm gonna try. Just
Let's go.
coffee in.
Right? Six cups a day of like crazy coffee.
Oh my God, I don't think you ever told me that.
Mm-hmm. It was really bad.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it. Well, thank you, ma'am, very much. If you had
a
final thing to say to anyone who's considering Projector Playground, what would you want them to know or where would you want them to be before they enrolled?
Just like be willing enough to take the risk to dive in head first.
Powerful. I love it. I love you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.